to answer at least one of them. You can answer two of them. Even if you think two answers are correct, which sometimes is true. Why is that? Because customs employs what's known, custom designers employ what's known as single best answer rule. The rule states, simply stated, is that even though two answers are correct, or three answers are correct, the one answer of those correct answers is still better than other ones. And you stick with that rule. Is it more beautiful or is it more liquidish? Well, it depends on the context. Probably more liquidish will do, even though it may be beautiful, because this is, if the question deals with the substance and deals with the state of the substance, you are not looking for the beauty of the substance, but you are looking for the state of its being. So, even though the substance may be beautiful, substance being liquid is still a better answer. And how do you get a feel of that? How do you get a feel of what's the best answer? Well, you kind of have to do this guys right here, right? You have to go through these guys, and you develop those. If I was a neuroscientist, I would say you develop those synapses in your brain, which kind of point you to that direction, and that is only coming with practice. So that's the introduction of the exam. Any questions? Any questions? So suppose you reach eureka moment and you get that notice and you pass. And that's what the modern customs broker exam license looks like. This is what you'll probably get. I think assistant commissioner changed, but that's irrelevant. This is a pro forma. You're not done yet, because passing customs broker examination is only one thing you need to do to get the license. There are other opportunities for you, notwithstanding your passage of the exam, not to get a license. One of them is if you are a green card holder. You should not have taken an exam in the first place if you're not a US citizen. But let's say you're a US citizen and then you renounce your citizenship and then you change your mind. Can that be a problem? Let's say I renounce my citizenship because I disagree with Barack Obama's foreign policy. You hear people doing that. So once you're taking a step, an affirmative step to do something, you should also be very diligent in your other things, in your everyday things that you do, such as drinking and driving, even parking tickets, because those things, they all reflect on something else, which also is a point, something dreadful because it's not clear, something known as good moral character. If customs says you are not a good moral character, you are not deserving a license. So many people say, what's good moral character? And sometimes I get the phone calls, Yuri, I didn't pay my parking tickets for the last year. Is that bad moral character? and I should say, okay. It's not, you should pay your parking tickets, right? But keep in mind, paying parking tickets just for the purpose of getting a license is also not good. Just try to pay them because you need to pay them, just as an example. Because it's such a fluid concept, there is no set rule. I may be a cocaine dealer day one, but I may rehabilitate and start teaching kids in some kind of social programs in day 1000, for example. Yes, day one I had a bad moral character, but I changed. And if you can show that, then that means you are a good moral character. So it's not one bad deed that you've done. It's not one skeleton in your closet that you have. It's rather totality of circumstances which is being evaluated. But really, I think this should be a sub-bullet of the good moral character portion, because in the world of customs, kind of like in the world of the bank, you may like to engage in fist fights around the corner on the street. But what's really important is not that you like fist fighting part, and some may that consider to be morally bad, because we are a nation of law-abiding citizens, of course, unless two fist fighters agree to throw punches. But aside from that, customs license is really presumption of trust by customs to you, and since you are entrusted with such thing as classification, determination of the appropriate regulation, that means that you are entrusted in monetary aspect. You entrusted with difference of commerce interpretation. So if your background check reveals that you've written out bad checks, I think customs investigators, I think they outsource it now. It used to be that they had customs themselves do it. Probably now they outsource it to independent companies. But irrespective, I think if you broke someone's nose in a bar fight, it may be less important from the customs perspective than if you written a bad check for the Barney in a Target store and the check bounced. See, because this deals with the money, and since you are being given presumptive trust of dealing with money, of determining the amount of duties you have to pay, that weighs more heavily. So part of a background check, you will be required to submit your credit report. The private agencies, there are three of them, right? Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I think all three are still around. You'll be asked to submit the report from them, which you can get for free, and you should be getting for free anyway from those agencies. They are required to give it to you by law, but you have to ask them for it, right? So only after you get all those check marks, you get your license. Now, will it be a big ceremony and singing of the national anthem? I don't know. I hear in New York there used to be days when customs port director used to individually call the broker who passed, and they would have a chat with them saying that you're in position of trust, etc., etc. As our society becomes more transactional society, and by transactional I mean putting more value on the transaction and on efficiency rather than on quality and spirit. Some people may argue I'm not right, but this topic is outside of this the scope of the class. But there used to be the days when people do that. So will that happen? Probably not. You'll just get the license in the mail. I got mine in the mail, and that's it. Good luck, and then it's up to you what you do with it. All right. So that's what you get out. That's what where you start the journey. Before I move on, any questions? Questions, comments, perspectives? Anyone ask me to clarification on a bad moral character? Give me more examples of what moral character is bad. Is habitual drunkard being bad moral character? So if you drink all the time habitually, are you a person of bad moral character? Turns out that under INA, Immigration Nationality Act, there is a provision that you cannot be granted a citizenship if you're a habitual drunkard. That's one of the lines. It used to be that if you used to be a member of the Communist Party, you would not be granted one either. I think that outlived its life. So it seems like no one is interested in further discussions about bad moral character, so I'll just leave it there. I think I already mentioned that predominantly you are being tested on a Code of Federal Regulations. Code of Federal Regulation comes from somewhere. And where does it come from? Where do regulations come from? Who makes those regulations? Is a question to ask. Do you guys make those regulations? No? Do you? Indirectly you are. Indirectly you are, and we'll see why. I may challenge you on that one. But let's start about on our system of government, because I think as we walk through, as we journey through customs regulations, we will encounter various questions that really ask you about certain officials within a government structure which have one role versus another role. And without getting the structure into the perspective, it may seem arbitrary why this official does what it does, or why I have to defer to that official as opposed to this one. So what do we have? We have in the United States a representative government which is comprised out of branches. There are 3 branches of government. Number 1, Congress, a legislative branch, right? Number 2, did I hear Barack Obama? Executive branch. Number 3 is courts, judges, judicial branch. Why do we have 3 branches of the government? Well, in theory, if we have only one branch, it may do unjust things. So if you break down the system of government, you get rid of the excesses, and you develop a system of what's known as checks and balances. So one branch can check on another, and vice versa. So those branches are regarded in that respect as co-equal. And in this system, by the way, this is federal government system, which is relevant for customs broker exam. Similar, there is a parallel system of the state government, like New York State, even New York City. They also have, New York City, for example, has city council. They have city judges. They have also mayor, right? When elections are tomorrow. Anyone voting for the city mayor? So keep that in mind. But as of this day, I believe it's Mr. Bloomberg. So those branches are supposed to check on one another, but they also have distinct roles. So a legislative branch has primarily sometimes it may seem weird, but they actually make laws or unmake laws, but they make laws and they write the law sometimes, and when they make the law, when it comes out, it usually takes form as public law, or as you may see, pub law, and then there will be like a number. Of course, once it comes out, president must sign it, right? Otherwise it is not a law. So president, executive branch, so that's Congress. That's president of the United States. He signs it, and that law becomes a law, otherwise it's just a bill, right? And after it becomes public law, it is being put into the codification. And that system of codification is known as U.S. Code, United States Code. In your customs journey, you will see a lot of words USC, such as 19 USC 1526, for example. 19 refers to title. Remember the title we talked about? Well, this is United States Code, but it also has titles. So 19 usually relates to the tariff trade provisions. Besides public law, it may also be called as an act, which is also a law, but those are names, they're synonymous names. Why do you need to know that? Because customs examiners may ask you, according to 15 USC 19 USC 1530 or 15 USC 1530, you cannot do this. And you're like, what is USC? What am I talking about? Well, they are citing directly the law. Because the law comes directly from Congress, and in theory, indirectly comes from people, which is us guys. Because we elect, if we're US citizens, we vote for whom? For the congressman in our district, and we vote for the senator in the Senate. And those guys put their heads together, vote, agree on this, send it to the president, president signs, and then it becomes a law, which is called public law, which later is codified into the United States Code according to their title, which is the title which is appropriate for that particular law. So it becomes codified. USC is called United States Code. United C States C Code. Okay. Then what? Now comes the fun part. Customs and Border Protection takes this code, United States Code from the Congress, and they make regulations pursuant to that code. So you have and who is customs? Is customs? Which branch? We know customs is the government, right? But which branch is it under? Judicial? No? Yeah. It's under the president, right? CBP is subordinate to Mr. Barack Obama. Customs and Border Protection takes the United States Code from Congress or the laws, and they say, according to this law, this is how we're going to enforce it. Here's how we're going to implement it. In other words, they create what's called Code of Federal Regulations.